The color you love says more about you than you realize. Jung proved that his mind chooses colors for an ulterior motive. Find out why. Do you think you choose your favorite colors? Do you think it's a matter of personal taste, aesthetic preference, of matching your skin tone? He is completely wrong. Your color choices are driven by psychic forces that you don't even know exist, and they are revealing secrets about you that you don't even know. Carl Jung discovered something disturbing. Our preferences are not our own. They are manifestations of unconscious complexes, unresolved traumas, repressed aspects of our personality. When you wear black every day, it's not just a matter of practicality. It's your unconscious screaming something you refuse to hear. When you run away from red as if it were poison, you are avoiding a vital part of yourself. Your favorite color is a mirror of your soul. It is the secret language that your unconscious uses to show you who you really are underneath all the social masks you have built. And most people spend their entire lives ignoring these messages, missing precious opportunities for self-knowledge and transformation. Jung realized that colors function as universal archetypal symbols. They carry meanings that transcend cultures, times, individual differences. It's no coincidence that blue calms almost everyone down, or that red sparks passion and aggression. These reactions have been programmed into our collective unconscious for thousands of years. But here's what no one tells you. When you ignore or reject certain colors, you're rejecting fundamental aspects of yourself. When you feel obsessively attracted to a particular color, you are being pulled into a psychological complex that needs to be integrated. Your chromatic choices are a detailed map of your inner conflicts, your deepest fears, your undeveloped potentials. The problem is that we live in a society that teaches us to ignore these signs. We choose colors based on what is appropriate, what others will think, what is fashionable. We have completely lost the connection with our true essence. We live trapped in the persona, in the social mask that we create to be accepted. Your colors reveal whether you are living your authenticity or if you are playing a fake role. They show if you are in the process of individuation or if you are stagnant in the same self-destructive patterns as always. They denounce your unhealed traumas, your repressed potentials, your dark parts that you prefer to pretend don't exist. This video will destroy everything you thought you knew about colors and personal preferences. Let's use the relentless lens of Jungian psychology to decipher the secret codes that your unconscious is sending you through your chromatic choices. Let's find out how colors can be powerful tools for self-knowledge and psychological transformation. Prepare yourself to face uncomfortable truths about yourself. Get ready to question every choice you make, every color you love or hate. Because when you understand the hidden language of colors, you gain direct access to the deepest secrets of your psyche. And with these secrets, you can finally begin the process of becoming who you really are. 1. Colorful eyeshadow. The color you hate the most reveals more about you than the one you love. Jung discovered that our aversion to certain colors is not accidental, it is psychological. It is your shadow manifesting itself through chromatic rejection. When you feel instant repulsion for a color, you're rejecting aspects of yourself that you find unacceptable. The Jungian shadow is everything that you deny in yourself. They are the impulses, characteristics, and potentials that were repressed because they did not fit the image you wanted to project to the world. And colors work as direct triggers for this dark content. If you run away from the red, you are probably avoiding your own aggressiveness, your passion, your life force. Perhaps I have learned since childhood that anger is something bad, that good people do not get angry, do not fight, do not impose limits. Red bothers you because it represents everything you have been taught to suppress. Those who reject yellow are usually afraid to shine, to be seen, to take up space. Yellow is the color of self-expression, creativity, confidence. When this color causes you discomfort, it's because there's a part of you that has been silenced, that has learned to hide so as not to bother others. Black is rejected by those who are terrified of their own depth. These people live on the surface, avoid introspection, run away from any situation that forces them to look inward. Black represents mystery, the unknown, the hidden aspects of personality. To reject it is to reject the possibility of real self-knowledge. But here's the paradox. The more you reject a color, the more power it has over you. The energy you expend avoiding certain colors is energy that could be used to integrate those rejected aspects. Jung called this making peace with the shadow. The integration of shadow through colors is a revolutionary process. When you stop running away from the colors that bother you and start investigating why they affect you so much, you are taking the first step towards becoming a complete person. You're stopping living as an edited version of yourself. The exercise is simple but transformative. Identify the color that bothers you the most and spend a week wearing something of that color every day. Observe your inner reactions, your fears, your resistances. This color is showing you exactly which aspect of your personality needs to be integrated. Many people find that their hated colors carry exactly the qualities they need to develop the most. The executive who hates pink discovers that he needs to access his sensitivity. The woman who runs away from orange realizes that she needs more spontaneity and joy in life. Your colored shadow is not your enemy. It's your ally in disguise, trying to show you parts of yourself that have been unjustly banished. When you stop fighting these colors and start talking to them, you are literally talking to repressed aspects of your psyche, and that conversation can change your life completely. Dois. Fake person. Your socially acceptable colors are lies you tell the world. The Jungian persona is the social mask that we create to fit in, to be approved, not to bother. And our chromatic choices are one of the main tools of this psychological staging. Do you wear beige because it's neutral and professional? It is hiding its true personality behind a facade of conformity. Beige is the color of emotional invisibility, of the person who prefers not to be noticed, rather than to run the risk of being judged. It is the choice of those who have abdicated their authenticity in exchange for social acceptance. Navy blue became a corporate uniform, not by chance. It is the color of artificial reliability, of forced seriousness, of the professional who sacrificed his individuality on the altar of success. When you dress in navy blue every day, you're telling the world that you're trustworthy, but you're lying to yourself about who you really are. Jung realized that the persona is necessary for life in society, but it becomes pathological when we confuse the mask with our true identity. Many people spend decades wearing the right colors, acting appropriately, and one day wake up completely disconnected from themselves. The tragedy of the chromatic persona is that it works. When you dress in the colors that society expects, you get approval, you get promoted, you get accepted into the right groups. But the price is sky high. You lose touch with your authentic essence. Observe your color choices in different contexts. Do you dress one way at work and a completely different one at home? Are your professional colors the opposite of your personal colors? This division reveals the size of the distance between your persona and your true personality. The person who wears only black at work but loves vibrant colors at home is living a double life. She is denying vital aspects of herself for 8 hours a day. This fragmentation generates anxiety, depression, a feeling of existential emptiness. The Jungian individuation process requires you to stop hiding behind safe colors. It takes courage to show who you really are through your color choices. It doesn't mean you need to wear hot pink to a business meeting, but it does mean finding authentic ways to express your true personality. Start small. Wear an accessory in a color that truly represents you. Observe people's reactions, but especially observe your own reactions. Do you feel more alive, more connected to yourself, or do you feel fear, shame, anxiety? The chromatic persona is a golden prison. It protects you from rejection, but it deprives you of genuine connection. When you have the courage to show your true colors, you attract people who accept you for who you are, and you repel those who were only interested in your mask. Your authentic colors are your energetic signature in the world. They communicate your essence before you even open your mouth. Stop hiding behind neutral and appropriate tones. Your soul has specific colors, and they are asking to be expressed. If this hit home and you're ready to go deeper into who you really are, light, shadow, and all, check out the SIM Method ebook. It's a down-to-earth guide that helps you reconnect with yourself in just 5 minutes a day. The link's waiting for you in the first pinned comment. Let's continue. 3. Visual archetypes. The colors that irresistibly attract you are not personal preferences. They are ancestral archetypes speaking through your psyche. Jung discovered that there are universal patterns of behavior and symbolism engraved in the collective unconscious of humanity. And colors are one of the most primitive languages of these archetypes. When you feel magnetized by red, you are not the one choosing. It is the archetype of the warrior awakening in your psyche. Red carries the primordial energy of struggle, conquest, vital affirmation. People attracted to this color are being called to battles they need to fight, limits they need to impose, territories they need to defend. Blue awakens the archetype of the sage. It is the color of depth, of contemplation, of the search for truth. Those who are attracted to blue are being summoned to an inner journey, to question established truths, to dive into the deep waters of knowledge. It is no coincidence that so many philosophers and thinkers have a predilection for this color. Green activates the healer archetype. It is the energy of renewal, healing, growth. People who gravitate towards the green are being called to processes of regeneration, whether healing themselves or others. They carry an instinctive connection to the natural cycles of death and rebirth. Gold awakens the archetype of the king or queen. It is the color of sovereignty, of achievement, of legitimate power. Those who are attracted to gold are being summoned to take the lead, to shine, to take their rightful place in the world. But beware, it can also indicate unresolved complexes of grandiosity. Purple activates the mystic archetype. It is the color of spiritual transformation, of magic, of hidden mysteries. People attracted to purple are being called on journeys of transcendence, to explore dimensions beyond the material, to connect with higher forces. Black awakens the archetype of death and rebirth. Not physical death, but the psychological death necessary for growth. Those who are attracted to black are being summoned to deep processes of transformation, to let obsolete aspects of themselves die. White activates the archetype of purity and new beginning. It is the color of the blank page, of infinite possibilities, of renewed innocence. People attracted to white people are being called to new beginnings, to psychological cleansing, to symbolic births. But here's what most don't understand. You may be being called by an archetype you haven't developed yet. Your attraction to a certain color may indicate not who you are, but who you need to become. It is the unconscious showing you the next stage of your psychological evolution. The problem arises when you resist the archetypal call. When you are attracted to red, but live a passive and submissive life. When blue calls you, but you run away from introspection. When green attracts you, but you live disconnected from nature and healing cycles. This resistance generates psychological symptoms: Anxiety, depression, feelings of emptiness, compulsions. It's your psyche trying to force you to heed the archetypal call you've been ignoring. And Jungian individuation requires you to honor the archetypes that manifest through your chromatic attractions. It doesn't mean you have to become a literal warrior if red appeals to you. It means that he needs to develop the warrior qualities: courage, determination, fighting capacity. Your archetypal colors are maps for your psychological evolution. They show you what primordial energies are trying to manifest through you. To ignore them is to waste precious opportunities for growth and fulfillment. 4. Hidden complexes. Your chromatic obsessions reveal psychological complexes that control your life without you realizing it. Jung discovered that our psyche is inhabited by autonomous little personalities, complexes charged with emotional energy that influence our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And colors work as magnets for these complexes. When you can only dress in black, it's not a matter of style. It is a power complex operating in the shadows of your mind. Black may represent the unconscious desire to intimidate, to keep one's distance, to project an image of mystery and control. Or it can reveal an inferiority complex disguised as superiority, where you use color to hide from your own vulnerability. The obsession with white often masks complexes of pathological purity. People who only wear white may be struggling with impulses that they consider dirty or unacceptable. Nay, white becomes a psychological armor against dark aspects of personality that they refuse to integrate. Addiction to pastel colors reveals infantilization complexes. These are people who refuse to grow psychologically, who want to remain in the safety of childhood. The soft colors represent an idealized world where there are no conflicts, responsibilities, or difficult decisions. The compulsion for vibrant colors can indicate attention complexes. People who only wear glaring colors often struggle with deep feelings of invisibility. They need to be noticed, admired, commented on. Color becomes a desperate way of existing in the eyes of others. Jung realized that complexes have a life of their own. They hijack our conscious personality and make us act in ways we don't fully understand. When you feel an irresistible compulsion for a certain color, a complex is in charge. The mother complex can manifest itself through the obsession with earthy tones. People trapped in this complex gravitate toward brown, beige, earth tones, unconsciously seeking the warmth and safety of the mother's womb. They avoid colors that represent independence and autonomy. The paternal complex appears in the predilection for authoritarian colors such as navy blue and gray. People dominated by this complex choose colors that project seriousness, responsibility, control. They fear colors that could be interpreted as frivolous or emotional. The inferiority complex hides behind safe and neutral colors. People with this complex avoid any color that might draw attention or generate judgment. They prefer to camouflage themselves in the crowd rather than risk being noticed and possibly criticized. But the most disturbing thing is that these complexes operate completely outside of consciousness. You think you are making free and conscious choices, but you are actually being manipulated by psychic forces that you do not even know. Their chromatic preferences are symptoms of unresolved internal conflicts. The liberation of chromatic complexes requires first recognizing them. Observe your patterns. Do you always choose the same colors? Do you feel anxious when you have to wear different colors? Do you have intense emotional reactions to certain colors? The next step is to question these compulsions. Where does this need to always wear black come from? What fear is behind your aversion to yellow? What complex is being fueled by your obsession with blue? Jungian individuation requires you to free yourself from the control of complexes. This doesn't mean completely abandoning your favorite colors, but it does mean choosing them consciously, not compulsively. It means using colors as tools for self-expression, not as psychological crutches. When you can choose your colors freely, without being overwhelmed by unconscious complexes, you take a giant step towards psychological maturity. You stop being a hostage to your own neuroses and become the conscious author of your own life. 5. Anima revealed. The colors you secretly love but never wear reveal your repressed anima. Jung discovered that every man carries within him an unconscious female figure, and every woman carries a male figure. These inner images, called anima and animus, profoundly influence our choices, including our hidden chromatic preferences. Men who are attracted to pink but would never wear it are denying fundamental aspects of their anima. Pink represents sensitivity, care, emotional vulnerability. When a man rejects this color, he is rejecting his own ability to be tender, receptive, emotionally available. He is trapped in a toxic masculinity that prevents him from accessing his psychological completeness. The male anima often manifests itself through the secret attraction to colors forbidden to men: lilac, coral, pastels. These colors carry qualities that have been culturally associated with feminine, but which are essential for the complete psychological development of any person, regardless of gender. Women who run away from the intense red may be repressing their animus. Red represents strength, assertiveness, power of conquest. When a woman avoids this color, she's often avoiding her own leadership skills, her healthy aggressiveness, her life force. She is trapped in a submissive femininity that prevents her from occupying her space in the world. The feminine animus is revealed through the attraction of traditionally masculine colors: royal blue, military green, lead gray. Women who feel magnetized by these colors but avoid them are denying important aspects of their personality: rationality, objectivity, the ability to command. Jung realized that the integration of the anima and animus is essential for individuation. Men need to develop their feminine qualities, and women need to develop their masculine qualities. And colors are powerful tools in this integration process. The man who has the courage to wear a pink scarf is integrating his anima. You are telling the world that you are not afraid of your sensitivity, that you do not need to prove your masculinity through the rejection of the feminine. You are becoming a complete human being. The woman who wears red with confidence is integrating her animus. You are accessing your inner strength, your leadership capacity, your yang energy. You are freeing yourself from conditionings that kept you in a position of submission and passivity. But society harshly punishes those who dare to cross these chromatic borders. Men who wear feminine colors are asked about their sexual orientation. Women who wear masculine colors are labeled as aggressive or masculine. This social pressure keeps millions of people psychologically fragmented. The tragedy is that this fragmentation generates symptoms: men who cannot access their emotions, women who cannot impose themselves, superficial relationships where each represents only half of a complete human being, depression, anxiety, a feeling of existential emptiness. The repressed anima manifests itself through projections. Men who deny their sensitivity fall obsessively in love with women who represent this quality. Women who deny their strength are attracted to domineering men. They seek in the other what they refuse to develop in themselves. The colors of the anima and animus are invitations to completeness. When you are attracted to colors associated with the opposite gender, your psyche is showing you aspects that need to be integrated. It doesn't mean you need to dress like the opposite sex, but it does mean you need to honor those qualities within you. The onboarding process starts with small steps. A man can start by wearing a shirt in a softer tone. A woman can try a blazer in a more assertive color. The important thing is to observe the internal reactions: fear, shame, excitement, a sense of authenticity. When you integrate your anima or animus through colors, you become a more complete person, more interesting, more attractive. You stop looking for in others what you can develop in yourself. Your relationships become more balanced and authentic. Their repressed colors are psychological treasures waiting to be discovered. They carry aspects of your personality that have been unjustly banned. When you have the courage to use them, you are literally becoming more yourself. 6. Chromatic individuation. Your journey of individuation can be mapped through the evolution of your chromatic choices. Jung discovered that the process of becoming who we really are follows predictable patterns, and the colors that attract us at different stages of life reveal exactly where we are on this psychological journey. In youth, most people choose colors based on social conformity or adolescent rebellion. Either you wear the colors that your parents approve of, or you use the exact opposite to tease. Both choices are reactive, not authentic. You haven't figured out your true colors yet because you haven't figured out who you really are. The first phase of individuation usually coincides with a crisis of safe colors. You wake up one day and realize that your entire wardrobe bores you. The colors you used automatically start to look strange, as if they belong to someone else. That's your psyche signaling that you're ready to evolve. The chromatic experimentation phase is chaotic, but necessary. You test colors you would never wear before, mix impossible combinations, oscillate between extremes. This apparent confusion is actually a process of discovery. Your psyche is testing different aspects of personality through colors. Many people panic at this stage. They think they are losing style or no longer know who they are. In fact, they are discovering who they are for the first time. Chaotic colors reflect the internal chaos necessary for psychological growth. The chromatic integration phase marks a deep psychological maturity. You develop a personal palette that reflects your true essence. It is no longer a matter of following trends or provoking reactions. It is an authentic expression of who you have become through the process of individuation. Jung realized that truly individuated people develop a unique chromatic signature. They don't dress to impress or to hide. Its colors communicate its essence in a natural and spontaneous way. There is a coherence between who they are inside and how they present themselves to the world. But chromatic individuation is not a linear process. You can regress to safe colors during times of stress or insecurity. You can experience phases of chromatic rebellion even in maturity. The important thing is to recognize these movements as part of the process, not as failures. True chromatic freedom comes when you can wear any color without anxiety or compulsion. When your choices are based on authenticity, not fear or need for approval. When you're comfortable in both black and yellow, both pink and navy blue. People who have completed chromatic individuation often develop an intuitive ability to choose exactly the right color for each moment. They instinctively know when they need the energy of red, the calm of blue, the creativity of orange. Your colors become conscious tools of emotional self-regulation. The process also includes reconciling with colors that you rejected. When you integrate your eyeshadow, your hated colors lose their power to bother you. You may not use them often, but you no longer feel aversion or anxiety about them. Chromatic individuation is a microcosm of general individuation. When you free yourself from conditioning about appropriate or inappropriate colors, you are freeing yourself from conditioning about appropriate or inappropriate behaviors. You are becoming the author of your own life. The goal is not to use all the colors or impress anyone with your originality. The goal is to develop an authentic and conscious relationship with colors that truly resonate with your essence. It's discovering your unique psychological palette and having the courage to express it in the world. When you complete your chromatic individuation, your colors become a natural extension of your personality. They communicate who you are without effort or artifice. You've finally discovered your authentic visual language. CT. repressed traumas. The colors that make you feel instant nausea or anxiety carry traumatic memories that your conscious mind refuses to process. Jung discovered that unresolved traumas become encapsulated in the unconscious, and colors function as direct triggers for these buried psychological wounds. When you feel physical repulsion for a certain color, it is not a matter of aesthetic taste. It is your nervous system reacting to a traumatic memory associated with that color. Your psyche is trying to protect you from reliving pain that hasn't been processed properly yet. Red often carries trauma related to violence, anger, or abuse. People who were exposed to aggressive situations in childhood may develop a profound aversion to this color. Red becomes an unconscious reminder of times when they felt threatened, vulnerable, helpless. Blue can carry traumas of abandonment or emotional coldness. Children who grew up with emotionally distant parents often associate shades of blue with loneliness, affective emptiness, the feeling of not being loved. Color automatically awakens these feelings of rejection and abandonment. Yellow sometimes carries traumas related to humiliation or forced exposure. People who have been publicly ridiculed, bullied, or forced to be the center of negative attention may develop an aversion to vibrant colors that get attention. Black can be associated with traumas of death, grief, or depression. Those who experienced traumatic losses in childhood or grew up in depressive environments may experience intense anxiety when exposed to this color. Black awakens memories of deep sadness that have not yet been elaborated. White sometimes carries trauma from toxic perfectionism or excessive pressure. Children who have been raised with impossible standards of purity and perfection may experience anxiety when exposed to white. The color represents the unbearable pressure of never being able to make a mistake or disappoint. Jung realized that these chromatic traumas operate completely outside of consciousness. You may not remember the specific event that created the association, but your body and psyche hold the memory. Color works as an emotional file that triggers automatic protective reactions. The problem is that avoiding these colors keeps the traumas active and unprocessed. When you systematically run away from certain colors, you are feeding the power they have over you. It is allowing experiences from the past to control your choices in the present. Healing from chromatic traumas requires courage to face these reactions. It doesn't mean brutally exposing yourself to the color that bothers you, but it does mean gently investigating where that aversion comes from. What memories come up when you look at that color? What physical sensations appear? Often, the simple awareness of the origin of the trauma already diminishes its power. When you understand that your aversion to red comes from a violent parent, or that your fear of yellow is linked to episodes of school humiliation, the color loses some of its negative emotional charge. The healing process can include therapy, but it can also be done through gradual conscious exposure. Start by noting the color that bothers you from a distance, then touch objects of that color. Gradually allow it to enter your visual field without triggering escape reactions. Chromatic desensitization is a process of psychological reclaim. You are reclaiming parts of your sensory experience that have been hijacked by trauma. You are freeing yourself from invisible prisons that limited your choices and your self-expression. When you get to look at your traumatic color without anxiety, you haven't just cured a specific phobia. You processed a psychological wound that was influencing other areas of your life. You have become freer, more complete, more integrated. The integration of traumatic colors often releases creative energy that was blocked. People who overcome chromatic aversions report feeling more alive, more expressive, more connected to their own vitality. It is as if a part of themselves has been returned. Your chromatic traumas are disguised opportunities for deep healing. They show you exactly where your psyche needs attention and care. When you have the courage to face them, You don't just expand your color palette. You expand your capacity to live fully. 8. Visual synchronicity. The colors that appear repeatedly in your life are not coincidences. They are manifestations of Jungian synchronicity, significant events that reveal hidden connections between your inner and outer world. Jung found that when we pay attention to these seemingly random patterns, they provide us with deep guidance on our path of psychological development. When you start noticing that a certain color constantly appears in your visual field, your psyche is trying to communicate something important to you. It could be a red car you see every day on your way to work, a yellow flower that appears in unexpected places, or people wearing blue who cross your path repeatedly. Chromatic synchronicity works as a psychological navigation system. Your unconscious mind is attuned to colors that represent energies or qualities that you need to develop at the moment. The external universe organizes itself to reflect its internal needs for growth. If you are going through a period of profound transformation and purple begins to appear constantly in your life, it is no coincidence. Purple represents transmutation, magic, connection with higher dimensions. Your psyche is being prepared for changes that go beyond the material and the rational. When green emerges synchronistically during times of illness or stress, it is a sign that healing processes are being activated. Your unconscious mind is connecting with nature's regenerative energy, preparing your system for renewal and recovery. The repeated appearance of gold often coincides with times when you are ready to take on greater responsibility or leadership. It's as if the universe is preparing you to recognize and express your own worth, your ability to shine and positively influence the world. Jung realized that synchronicity only works when you are in a state of conscious attention. If you live on autopilot, lost in compulsive thoughts, or distracted by electronic devices, you miss those subtle messages that the universe is trying to send you. Chromatic synchronicity can also act as a warning. If colors associated with danger or conflict begin to appear repeatedly, your psyche may be alerting you to situations that require special care. It is not superstition. It is intuition operating through visual symbols. Red appearing synchronistically may indicate that you need to develop more assertiveness, set clearer boundaries, or prepare to face necessary conflicts. Your psyche is equipping you with the martial energy needed for the battles to come. Black appearing repeatedly often coincides with periods of symbolic death, when obsolete aspects of personality need to be left behind. It is an invitation to delve into the mystery of transformation, to allow parts of you to die so that something new can be born. The key to working with chromatic synchronicity is to develop an attitude of respectful curiosity. When you notice repetitive chromatic patterns, ask yourself, what quality does this color represent? How could this energy be useful in my current life? What aspect of myself is this color trying to awaken? Keep a diary of chromatic synchronicities. Write down when certain colors appear repeatedly and what events or insights coincide with those appearances. Over time, you will begin to recognize the unique patterns through which your psyche communicates with you. Chromatic synchronicity can also guide practical decisions. If you're undecided about a major change and a certain color keeps popping up, it could be a sign of which direction to take. Don't make decisions based on that alone, but use it as one more element in your discernment process. When you learn to read the language of chromatic synchronicity, you develop a sophisticated form of inner guidance. You stop feeling lost or disconnected because you are constantly receiving feedback from your unconscious about your development process. Your chromatic synchronicities are gifts from your psyche, loving attempts to keep you aligned with your deepest purpose. When you pay attention to these subtle signals, you are honoring the wisdom of your unconscious and allowing it to guide you toward your fullest fulfillment. 9. Inner transformation. Your color palette changes radically when you go through profound psychological transformations. Jung discovered that major internal changes are always reflected in external changes, and colors are one of the first indicators that a psychological metamorphosis is taking place. When you look back at your wardrobe from 5 years ago and feel total strangeness, it's because you've literally become a different person. Inner transformation begins with abandoning the colors that represented your previous personality. That navy blue you wore religiously at work suddenly looks like a fantasy of someone you're no longer in. The safe beige that dominated your wardrobe now gives you claustrophobia. Your psyche is rejecting the colors of the old version of yourself. This process often generates anxiety because it messes with our visual identity. You may feel lost, not knowing how to dress, questioning your own taste. In fact, you are in the midst of a necessary identity crisis. Your personality is rearranging, and your colors are trying to keep up with that rearranging. The middle phase of the transformation is marked by chaotic, chromatic experimentation. You test colors you would never wear before, mix impossible combinations, oscillate between extremes. You can wear vibrant red one week and pastels the next. This apparent confusion is actually your psyche, exploring different aspects of the new personality that is emerging. Many people resist this experimental phase because they fear the judgment of others. What will they think if I show up in yellow after years of wearing only black? This resistance slows down the transformation process. Jung realized that individuation requires the courage to disappoint external expectations in favor of internal authenticity. Chromatic transformation often coincides with significant life changes. The end of relationships, changing careers, overcoming trauma, spiritual awakening. The old colors represented who you were in that context. The new colors represent who you are becoming in the new context. People who have undergone deep therapy often report dramatic changes in chromatic preferences. Colors that once caused aversion become attractive. Colors that were once obsessions completely lose their appeal. It is as if psychological healing has released aspects of the personality that were blocked or repressed. The grieving process also radically transforms our relationship with colors. Those who lose someone important often abandon vibrant colors for long periods, gravitating towards neutral or dark tones. It is not just a matter of social mourning, but a psychological need for the outer colors to reflect the inner state of sadness and introspection. Recovery from depression or anxiety almost always includes a chromatic revolution. People coming out of depressive periods often feel a sudden attraction to colors that once seemed too flashy or inappropriate. It is vitality returning and asking to be expressed visually. Spiritual transformations also generate profound chromatic changes. People who go through spiritual awakening often abandon materialistic colors like gold and silver, gravitating toward natural hues or colors associated with transcendence like purple and white. Or they do the opposite movement, embracing earthy colors that represent connection with nature. The key is not to resist these chromatic changes, but to embrace them as a natural part of psychological growth. When you feel like your old colors don't represent you anymore, it's because you're really not the same person anymore. Forcing yourself to keep the same palette is forcing yourself to remain in an obsolete version of yourself. The chromatic transformation process also includes gradual integration. After the chaotic experimental phase, you develop a new palette that reflects your transformed personality. This new palette is more authentic, more aligned with who you've become through the process of growing up. The complete inner transformation when you can look at your current colors and feel total congruence between who you are inside and how you present yourself to the world. There is no longer any dissonance between your essence and your appearance. His colors became a natural and spontaneous expression of his true personality. When you honor your chromatic transformations, you are honoring your own process of psychological evolution. You are allowing your outward appearance to keep up with your inner growth. You are living in an integrated and authentic way. 10. Full integration. Chromatic mastery arises when you transcend both compulsion and aversion, using colors as conscious tools for self-expression and emotional self-regulation. Jung discovered that complete individuation includes the ability to access all aspects of the psyche as needed. With color, this means developing a free and conscious relationship with the entire color spectrum. People who have achieved full integration no longer have forbidden colors or mandatory colors. They can wear red when they need assertive energy, blue when they seek calm and reflection, green when they need healing and renewal. Their chromatic choices become strategic, not compulsive. Real chromatic freedom means being able to wear any color without anxiety, shame, or the need for justification. You no longer have to hide behind safe colors or show off through shocking colors. Its colors communicate its essence in a natural and appropriate way for each context. Integration includes reconciliation with colors that previously caused aversion. When you process the traumas and complexes associated with certain colors, they lose their power to disturb you. You may not use them often, but you no longer feel negative emotional reactions when you encounter them. Integrated people develop sophisticated chromatic intuition. They instinctively know which color to use to influence their own emotional state or to communicate a certain message. They can choose calming tones before a stressful situation or energizing colors when they need motivation. Chromatic mastery also includes the ability to read the chromatic messages of others. When you deeply understand the language of colors, you can perceive emotional states, inner conflicts, and psychological needs through the chromatic choices of the people around you. Full integration eliminates the need to use color to impress, intimidate, or hide. Your chromatic choices become authentic expressions of your internal state, not strategies of social manipulation. You stop using colors as masks and start using them as language. The integration process also includes the development of a unique chromatic signature. It's not a rigid formula, but a personal palette that reflects your individual essence. This signature evolves organically as you grow, but maintains a coherence that communicates your authentic identity. Fully integrated people often become chromatic references for others. They radiate a natural confidence in their color choices that inspires others to experiment and express themselves more authentically. They become living examples of chromatic freedom. Chromatic integration is a microcosm of general psychological integration. When you free yourself from conditioning about appropriate or inappropriate colors, you are freeing yourself from conditioning about appropriate or inappropriate behaviors and expressions. Chromatic mastery also includes the ability to use color therapeutically. You can consciously choose colors that balance out unbalanced emotional states, that stimulate aspects of the personality that need to be developed, or that calm aspects that are hyperactive. The ultimate goal is not to use all the colors or impress anyone with your chromatic originality. The goal is to develop a mature, conscious and free relationship with colors as tools for self-expression and self-knowledge. It is discovering your authentic chromatic language and having the courage to express it in the world. When you achieve full chromatic integration, your colors become a natural extension of your personality. They communicate who you are without effort or artifice. You've finally discovered your authentic visual signature and developed the confidence to express it consistently. Complete chromatic integration is a sign of deep psychological maturity. It indicates that you have processed your traumas, integrated your shadow, developed your anima or animus, and freed yourself from the control of unconscious complexes. His colors have become tools of a truly free and self-aware person. When you completely master your relationship with colors, you don't just dress better, you live better. You express yourself more authentically, self-regulate more efficiently, and connect more genuinely with the world around you. Your colors become a manifestation of your integrated soul.